Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome. Our guests are artist Mark Wiener and actor Bentley Mitchum. Artist Mark Wiener began his formal training at the Philadelphia College of Art, where he studied painting and photography. His photographs and illustrations have been published in books and magazines all over the world. Mark has had painting shows in New York, Oklahoma, Arizona, and even in Paris. Welcome, Mark.
Hello, Joan. Thank you for having me on.
Where are you living now?
I'm now located in New York City. I have a studio in Midtown Manhattan, and it's in the center of everything.
Do you visit Los Angeles a lot?
I haven't been in Los Angeles in about 5 years.
Oh, well, welcome. Really welcome.
Yeah.
Do you continue to work in these three mediums, illustration, photography, and painting?
Well, actually, till recently, I've been working only in illustration and painting. And recently, one of my old clients came to me and said, "Why did you stop photography?" So I've started to incorporate photography with my painting and my illustration.
How do you do that?
Well, a lot of it's done with montage and double exposure, and some of it's starting to be done with cut paper and using all the new computer technology, you know. We do printouts and paste them down and paint on top of them. I mean, it's a whole new series I'm working on for my next show.
When you develop the photographs, do you develop them on the paper or on canvas, or have you done that?
I have been thinking of doing the work on canvas. Probably what I'll do at the beginning is on paper.
Do you work on canvas now?
Mm-hmm.
So your paintings are on canvas.
My paintings are on canvas.
But the illustrations obviously are paper pieces. And how do you differentiate, and why are you still doing illustrations when you're painting so much?
Well, they each work off, they play off of each other. I mean, I'm doing 90% painting and the other illustration. It's when I come up with graphics and designs, I'm doing an illustration that's very free and very flowing, and then I get an idea in the back of my mind for an abstract painting. So then I take that illustration and then I move it into a painting, that section.
You talk about your fantasies being involved in the illustrations. I mean, are there certain things that, if you're thinking of doing an illustration, say you're going to illustrate something for a book, then do fantasies actually come into play?
Mm-hmm.
How does that happen?
Well, sometimes fantasies, visual fantasies can just be in colors and shapes. You know, different tonality matches, textural things. A lot of what I paint with has to do with texture and translucency.
When you use those fantasies, do they go really way far, and so an editor will have to pull you back, or have you ever?
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Does it?
It happens all the time.
How does that? What happens in those situations?
Well, what will happen is that I know an editor will want something in a certain fashion, so I'll do that, and I'll do exactly to, as we call, the specs of the job, and then I'll say, okay, now it's finished. Now it's time for me to go, and I do 3 or 4 more pieces.
Oh, you do.
And I present them.
And then they get to...
They get to choose.
Do they usually go with your fantasies, or are they more
It's
hard?
somewhere right in between, usually. You know, what will happen is I'll go, the art director will go, I love this. And they run to the editor with it, and the editor goes, well, it's a little too far, and then they hem it home. Finally, they end up somewhere in between.
Right side of the brain and left side of the brain.
Right. It's kind of...
the words against the artistic
Exactly.
abilities. Yeah, it's really tough to get that even kind of thing. You did also, one of the things you did was I don't know if it's called illustration, what it is, the UN stamp. I think it's really fabulous, the UN. Tell us about that program, because I know Richard Bernstein and a lot of fabulous, Dolly did those stamps, and Chagall, I think, and the list goes on, but I know you did one of those stamps. So tell us how and what it really means.
Well, the World Federation of the United Nations Associations, in collaboration with the United Nations, puts out first day covers and limited edition lithographs. The program that the UN has, along with Wafuna, as it's called, it brings art to the masses that will never get to see it. And they get to be educated and enjoy different things. It brings new things into their lives. And it brings a lot of interesting people together in the programs.
How are the artists chosen for something like that?
The UN stamps have a committee, and the World Federation, it's chosen sometimes in collaboration with the UN stamp program, and other times it's the director of the World Federation who picks it up.
When you do the first piece, which is the lithograph you said,
right,
then is that translated into a stamp?
It's actually the one that the program I worked on for Wafuna was translated into a first day cover.
And is that a stamp actually?
No. It actually
I
isn't
don't know
a
what
stamp.
that is. You have to explain that.
Okay, well, when anybody issues a stamp, any country, or UN, whatever, they have a first day cover, which is an envelope that commemorates the issuing of the stamp.
Oh, I see.
So it's called a first day of issue cover.
And so that has your lithograph on it?
Yes, yes.
What year was that?
Oh, what year was that? It's probably 2 or 3 years ago. I don't remember that.
When you had, when you started doing your work and you started working on canvas and you were thinking about all these colors you said and all these kind of fantasies, did you have influences by other artists?
My influences probably have nothing to do with the way the painting is, as you see visually the paintings. Graphically, maybe a little bit clay, but it's the humor. I mean, my influences have always been, you have to have something that has a center that makes you feel good.
So it's not actually from an artist. This
Not
is
really.
From
It's from a center of energy that I want someone to have a painting that they grow and live with. And every day when they look at it, they just feel more positive and more directed.
So this wonderful painting on the set has the humor that you're talking about. Explain it to us.
Well, when you first approach a painting like this.
Tell us the name too.
Okay, this is called Pebble Sunrise.
Okay.
First you kind of stand back a little bit and you kind of look at it and it's very hard to focus. And then all of a sudden you start focusing and it becomes very enjoyable pieces of the painting that you start going into.
That's right.
And then your center starts to feel a little bit better, and then you see the textures. And then all of a sudden you stand back and you see the whole painting. So it's kind of a sleight of hand humor, where it's allowing you to have one, usually when you see a visual, it's like the first 5 or 10 seconds of seeing a visual, and that's your impact.
And it hits you, right?
It hits you. The idea for my paintings, you have to be pulled into them, and then you really get it.
I didn't get that this was a painting for me. These are all cues on here.
Exactly.
Actually, they're not, but Mark, you'll have to go through and make
change
sure they're all cues, because what you said is you do look at visually that impact, and you don't see the sections that you're talking about. Tell us about this.
This
looks like an illustration to me.
This is the illustration. This is actually the United Nations piece. And this was to commemorate World Heritage.
Ah.
And in the eyes of UNESCO, it has to do with UNESCO and their World Heritage commemorative, World Heritage are monuments, mountains. I have the Great Wall of China in here. I have Stonehenge, Angel Falls, even though I don't think they're fish like that in Angel Falls. That's a little bit of my imagination. The Himalayas, and so on and so on.
So this was on the first cover. This was
This was day cover.
Day cover.
And limited edition lithograph.
Right. Oh, it's wonderful. The one thing, when I was reading your bio, and I have to read it because I love that you said, your complex world has become a school of art, and it's called positivism. Now, What is this positivism, and are you the only person performing in this school of art?
Probably not the only person, but probably the only person using the word. What the school, let's give you a little bit of background of where it came from. For years, people would look at my paintings and go, this is so positive and so directed, and the energy is so strong. So I'd listen to the word and I'd hear, well, no one's ever used that word, right, as a school. And then I got involved with Maria Papapetros, who's psychic. And as we went through and she was consulting me and I became more centered and there were stronger feelings about it, all of a sudden one day Maria was looking at my paintings and I was looking at them and I'm going, positivism.
Ah, so when she, actually, then when she does her workshops, Maria Papapetros in New York, LA, Houston, wherever, she can have these artists come into your positivism school.
Exactly, it's possible, it's possible.
You don't all have to paint the same way, though.
No, I mean, the whole idea of positivism is that you see the good light of something, the good center of something. Where there's chaos, there's really organization, and there's clarity.
Oh, that's good. Tell my family that. The
chaos
that's
what most people say, true. I mean, if you look at this painting, your first image of it is chaos.
Yes.
But it's totally organized.
And the same with the stamp, where it looks like you have a lot of different things going on, but you point out
a path, yes.
the path is what it is. When you think about what you want to do as an artist and what kind of impact you want to make on the world, what comes to your mind? Are you thinking of going further into different media, or where do you find yourself or see yourself going?
I see myself driving this form of positivism, and the word may change, and bringing, or let's say creating stronger environments and clearer environments for people.
But how will you do that? On canvas, in sculpture,
it will
by word of mouth?
It will be multimedia, I'm sure. Maybe using the medium of television combined with the medium of my paintings, to photography, to the old style of doing performance art.
I was just going to ask you about performance art. Have you done any of that?
A long time ago, yes. Yeah.
But that could incorporate everything.
See, my whole background, I was educated in a period when conceptual art was very strong, and all my professors at Philadelphia College of Art were into pure conceptualism, which I kind of threw out the door and said, pure conceptualism, what's that? I mean, there are too many things going on here. It's clear, it's a painting.
But it was all in the back of your mind,
always
obviously.
In the back of my mind, always in the back of my mind.
So we're going to look to see what Mark Wiener's going to do in the future, because I think you're going to come up with some real surprises for us.
God only knows, but it will be something.
Thanks for being with us,
my
Mark.
pleasure, thank you.
And don't go away, because we'll be right back with Bentley Mitchum. Hi, we're back. I'm Joan Quinn, and I'm with actor Bentley Mitchum. Bentley has appeared in several feature films, including The Man in the Moon, Demonic Toys, Teenage Bonnie, and Klepto Clyde, just to mention a few. We want to talk to him about his role in the October Films release, Ruby in Paradise, which was written and directed by Victor Nunez. The film won the 1993 Grand Jury Prize at the Sundance Film Festival, and I think it will probably be an important path in your career.
I hope so.
Welcome,
I think so.
Bentley.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to the show. That film just shows you as such a spoiled brat.
I actually had wanted to play the other part, because that's more like me as a person.
I was just going to ask you, are you a spoiled brat? Did you have to research that?
No, it's easy to do that stuff. But I even auditioned for the other part of the one Todd Fields played, and I didn't get it, and he offered me the other role.
You had a lot of emotions in to show in that, because you had to show the spoiled haughtiness, and then you had to capitulate.
I'm kind of a self-styled playboy, and I make all my money on short stocks, which is kind of one of the lines is they make money when the news is bad or whatever.
Right.
And everything I do is all very self-styled, and I kind of believe that I am much better than the life I have around me. So I have an attitude that's really not really warranted because I'm really not that big of a hotshot. You know, I'm kind of a jerk in the movie.
But are you like that? You're not like that.
No, and it totally goes against my philosophy because I believe that actors are cast to parts that are somewhat like them.
That's what I wondered. Do you? That's why I'm asking these things.
Yeah, in the clip you'll see. I think
We're
you're going to
see
show
the
it,
clip.
right?
Yeah.
In that clip, I'm bringing this up because you had mentioned emotions. The end of the clip of where I believe it's going to stop, we are having a very physical scene, Ashley Judd and I, and we filmed that late at night, and that was a very emotional scene afterwards because I've never been that physical with a woman in an angry, violent way. And it was very disturbing. I remember Ashley and I went off together and talked about it and worked through the feelings of it because it was emotionally, it was weird.
Afterwards?
Afterwards, after he said cut, you know, and I came out of character and I realized that she'd been screaming and all this stuff, and I realized what I was doing. It was like I started shaking and stuff, and like I didn't hurt you, and I started feeling like I was going to cry. So that's kind of opposite of the character that I'm playing, right?
Right, but
and
that's
more
how
me.
you evolve.
Right.
Oh, you mean the sensitive part
sensitive
of it.
one was more me.
Let's see that clip,
Okay.
and then we'll talk
Let's
about
do
it.
it.
We'll see the clip from Ruby in Paradise.
You want some coffee?
No, thanks, Ruby. I'll be all right. I've missed you so much, Ruby. More than I ever thought possible.
Your mom and I just got back from Tampa. I guess you've been to a lot of trade shows.
Not since I could say no.
Your mom spent $6,000 in 4 hours on the floor. And then we went to a big meeting about tourism and ate in a fancy restaurant and got some sleep before hitting the floor again this morning, and then drove straight back through so you can see how I'm real worn out.
Ruby! I ain't seen anybody since you. I got feelings, don't you understand? I just need you to set them free.
Wow. Did you leave marks on her? Did
I
she
don't
have
think so. I hope not. I don't think so. She was an extremely good actress.
How did Victor Nunez get this out of you as a director?
He gave us a lot of free rein to really explore and be creative in our own characters. And he never really directed us more than guided us. And when you have an actress as good as Ashley Judd reacting to you, grabbing her and screaming, going back, it's kind of easy to do it. It wasn't a forced thing that I had to do. It was in character, it was easy to do because I'm supposed to be drunk, so I felt acting drunk, and I'm supposed to be angry, and she's reacting brilliantly, you know. So he didn't really have to do much to guide that out of me.
One of the things that you said, I know you were quoted about working on the set, that there were no ego problems on the set. Have you found that on other sets?
Yes, I have.
So that's why.
Yeah, I don't want to say any names because there are some people out there that are very, you know, established that I wouldn't want to step on toes or anything. But a lot of times, people want things their way and only their way. And if you get 5 people doing that on a film, it's no longer a family, you know. And like I said, Victor gave us so much room to be creative and grow as a family together.
Did you always want to be an actor?
No, actually, I wanted to do prosthetic makeup like Rick Baker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But were you born here in L.A.?
I was born in Arizona. My dad's done a lot of foreign films, so for the first 9 years of my life or so, I lived in Europe and Asia.
Oh, I see. What did he do? My notes say you come from a film family, a showbiz family, but I don't. Tell us about your family and who the show business people are.
Because actually, my family in the film business goes way back to black and whites. My great uncle is Harold Lloyd, the guy who's hanging from the clock. And
is that right?
Yeah, yeah. My mom's father was on the original Our Gang series, the black and whites. He played Stinky, the silent one.
Is that?
Yeah.
I can't believe. I'm glad I asked.
And then my grandfather being Robert Mitchum, and my father Christopher, and my uncle Jim. They both act. And my sister was on a soap for 4 years.
Oh, so it really does
Yeah.
come naturally. I read that you spent a lot of time on sets, but I didn't know where. Asia, Europe?
Asia and Europe. My dad really believed in keeping the family together, and he didn't want to go off for 2 months and leave the family without their dad, so he just took us with us, and he was doing well over there, so we just ended up staying there.
Was that obviously was a big influence? I mean, some part of show business, and the makeup thing would have been
Yeah,
very
the makeup
interesting.
thing came from being on the set and watching my dad get shot.
Really
as a
shot
kid,
as
a
or,
kid. Well,
or
you know, with the
you thought he
squibs,
was
yeah.
shot, right?
And then having them explain it to me and seeing it and then going, wow, that's fascinating. Because I just saw it, you know. And that was my first fascination with makeup.
We'd think you'd want to be a stuntman then.
I wanted to for a while.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's very physical, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but
would you
I
be
don't
up
mind
to that?
Yeah, I used to be very athletic. I used to play ice hockey. That was my major sport, but there's not a lot of ice hockey out in California.
No. Where'd you play hockey?
9.5 years in Massachusetts, after Europe and Asia.
Oh, so you lived in the East.
Yeah, I loved
so
it.
you really haven't been in California very long.
I've been to 35 different schools. I've lived in 28 different houses.
Is that right?
Yeah.
A real gypsy.
Yeah.
Well, I think that probably you'll have a lot to draw on.
I'm definitely ready for the unstable life of an actor.
Exactly. You do have a lot to draw on.
And you said as far as being influenced by my father and my grandfather, I think that in almost any trade, if my father was stocks and I grew up with that, I probably would have gotten into the stock thing more. It was just that avenue was open to me and I was able to have it, and because of them being established actors, it allowed me to get an agent easier or whatever.
Right. Did it? One of the things I always like to ask is, did it hamper or help your career
Both.
having the Mitchum name?
I think both. I think that in one aspect, I get the agent. I got my SAG card, and that way is a little easier for me to break in. On the other aspect, I think I walk in the door sometimes and people are like, okay, let's see what you got.
That's what
I think
I
you're trying to do it just because you're a Mitchum, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like if you were a plumber and your dad was a plumber, they're going to go, okay, let's see how good you can fix my pipes, so give them a shot at fixing the pipes, you know? Sometimes I feel that there's that stipulation put on before I walk in, a little look in the eye or something.
You can see it.
Yeah,
kinda
she's doing this
feel it.
because, but I've
Yeah.
been doing this for 8 years now, and I think I've finally, I mean, the first year or two was tough out there, you know, but I think they realize I'm serious now and I'm good and I'm able to do my job. So
You learned a lot on the sets as a child, or you were on the sets a lot. Did you have to take formal acting lessons?
I decided to go to USC Bachelor of Fine Arts program
Oh, you
at
did.
recommendation of a friend of mine in high school.
Even after all those schools you went to,
Yeah.
you got to go to college?
Yeah, USC. I got accepted. They accept, I think, 34 people throughout the United States, and got accepted and ended up dropping out about halfway through the year.
But do you think you learned a lot?
Well, what it taught me was I don't think you need to be going to school to learn to act. I think it's something that's inside of you, and that's what that school taught me. I don't need to pay $15,000 to be told to put my hand on a hip during a sentence or something, you know.
So, but that's the kind of thing that comes naturally. Sometimes you talk about, you said if my father had been in stocks, a lot of those kids really rebel and go the other way.
Yeah.
So you're lucky that you
I
liked
enjoyed
what
it.
you were doing and you were able to do it. When we talk about a director bringing so much out or giving you so much free rein, what directors in the future would you like to work with?
Well, there's a new director. He's just did a film called Amongst Friends, and it's been very well received. And his name's Rob Weiss. I'd like to do a film with him.
Do you know him?
Yeah, I've met him 2 or 3 times briefly.
What do you like about his work?
He's young. He's
think
still got
that
hunger.
makes
He's
it
got
big?
hunger, you know. And when you got that hunger, you still want to make it. You still have ideals left, you know. You want to make it. You think you can make it really good or perfect, and you really go for it.
But does it have to do with taste too? I mean, doesn't taste or some kind of experience come into it? I think young and hungry sounds good.
Yeah, and he's got his taste so far is pretty good. I mean, everyone's first script is usually written about themselves in some way, and that's what this script was. And it was in good taste. And he's a nice guy. I've met him. He's a nice guy. So
that makes a difference when you're on the set all the time?
As far as taste goes, I'd love to be directed by like Lily Zanuck. If you want to talk to someone with good taste. You know? That's
a woman director wouldn't.
Not at all. In fact, I don't think I've ever worked with a woman director, and it'd probably be quite refreshing.
What kind of roles do you want to play? Do you want to stay in this kind of bad boy? It looks like you're in a bad boy syndrome. Is that true?
I've done about 18, between TV and movies, I've done about 18 things, and I'd say about 4 or 5 of them I've played this type of character.
Oh, that's all?
Yeah. But if you ever see my films, other films, you'll see that I'm very eclectic in my acting range. One film, I'm speaking with a backwoods accent and a goatee and long hair and doing this kind of thing.
Do you take lessons?
No.
No?
No, I do it. I know how things appear to me, and I try and make that to you.
What about comedy?
I did Meatballs 4.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. It wasn't called that when I did it. I didn't know I was doing Meatballs 4. I was doing a movie called Happy Campers, which I thought was kind of neat because it's a little catchphrase in the 90s, hey, I'm a happy camper, or whatever. And when it was in the can and time to be distributed, they changed it to Meatballs 4.
Can you laugh? Can you make people laugh?
Right now, probably not.
Have you ever done stand-up comedy?
Only for my friends.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I write stuff. And
do you?
Yeah, this stuff. I do a lot of writing. Some of it's funny.
In your spare time, what do you do?
I have a musical project going with a friend of mine.
Are you a musician or are you writing?
Both.
Oh, really?
And I just finished my second screenplay based on my grandfather's journey from the East Coast to the West Coast before he became a celebrity.
Oh, that would be great. Do you see yourself in these roles?
I see him as, I want to play him.
That's what I mean.
The script will not get made without me playing him.
That's right.
And it's all based on true stories I've heard throughout his life.
That's wonderful.
And so I figured why not string them together and write it.
What kind of music?
Well, it's very reminiscent of early 70s, late 60s folk music with like the new 90s dance beat to it, like acoustical guitars with a dance beat.
Do you play the guitar?
Mm-hmm.
And you write the music too? Do you have a band?
Me and my friend. Actually, I was in a band for about a year and we broke up.
What was that called?
Mystic Day.
Sounds good. This is the end of our Mystic Day. Thanks Bentley Mitchum for being with us. And thanks to all of you for watching us today. And Mystic Day isn't going to play, but I think Throwing Stones is playing our theme song. And we'll see you next time.